Hi, this is Marty with Skincare Science, and welcome back for another video. In this video, I'm going to go ahead and teach you how to apply time-dependent acids with a fan brush. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's get started with the basics of the steps and the direction and how you should go about this. And I'll just do a quick primer on it. But then what I'm going to go into is a three-part tutorial on, if you're alone with a model, how you would go about really learning how to apply time-dependent acids with a fan brush. As you can see here, I have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we'll go ahead and draw the arrows here. Okay, so we have the forehead divided into two, then we have the bridge of the nose, then we have the left or right side of the face, left or right side of the face, across the upper lip, and the chin, and then feathering with the jawline. Remember, that's something that I do at the end. It kind of just completes it. Okay, so the one thing that we're going to go ahead and I'm going to tell you the three parts now. So the first part, second part, third part. Okay, so the first part is to you're going to be using saline solution. Okay, not using water. Saline solution is the best because it has a little bit of the same consistency, so that's what I like to use. And then if it gets in the eye, it's, you know, it's obviously it's safe for the eye as well. Okay, what we're going for is we're going for 60 seconds. Okay, my best is anywhere between 45 and 50. But really 60 seconds, give or take 10 seconds, is really where you want to be. We will go ahead when I show you 1, 2, and 3, what I want you to do. You'll see that you will make that mark, and then you will go way above it, and it's part of the learning process. So let's start, and I'm going to give you number 1 right now. So number 1, I want you to go ahead and it's going to be using no saline. Okay? So number 1 is no saline. Number 2, too much saline. And number 3 is too fast, too slow. Let me go ahead and draw the fan brush so I can visually. Okay, there it is. Remember, the fan brush, when you turn it, needs to be almost razor thin. You don't want this going on. You want very, very thin and specific. I've seen a lot of fan brushes that are massive in size. They carry way too much liquid, and it becomes, and this is why too much liquid, too much saline, it just becomes really, really messy and sloppy. And when you want to be precise, and with the proper fan brush, for me, it's really the only way to get that to get the job done correctly. So make sure it's not like a cosmetic brush. I've seen those; they don't work as well. Let's talk about number 1, using no saline. The reason why I don't want you to use any saline to start with is because it's all about practicing the strokes on the face, looking at where the fan brush is hitting the face. The liquid at this point is a distraction, so therefore we want to remove the liquid and practice, and we're always timing. Remember, we're always timing. Okay, so we start the timer, then we go and we end it, and we always follow the same path. We do not deviate. So if you're looking down at your model, if your number 1 part of the forehead is to your right, then that's the way you do it. If it's to the left, that's the way you do it. Okay? You always want to stay the same with regards to that. So number one is using no saline so that you can concentrate on fan brush application. Number two is too much liquid. So we want to go the extreme opposite. And when I go over how we're going to do that, it's actually the more excessive you are with the liquid, the better it will be, the more you will learn. And remember, you can only pick up so much liquid with your fan brush. So it's not like it's going to be, raining down saline solution or liquid on your model's face. It's just, I just want you to concentrate on really picking up a lot of liquid with the fan brush. And the reason why is because it's important for you to understand how much liquid the fan brush can pick up. And also too, time is wasted when you put the fan brush, when you dip and then you try to slide to take off the excess. So it's important to have an idea, if you did pick up too much, how it is going to react with your pressure and with the surface area of the skin, whether it be a small area or a large area. Number three, we're going to go ahead and do too fast and then too slow. So the reason we do that is you want to go, again, you want to go to the maximum and the minimums, and you must experience the maximum and the minimum to be able to know what's right. It's kind of like too hot, too cold, just right. That's what number three is about. The question often that I get asked is, how many peels does it take to be proficient? I don't think there's any magic number, but what is important is that, well, let's say for example, each time you paint the face, 1 through 6, that's obviously 1 chemical peel. So if you're practicing, well, what if we could do 5 to 10 and 5 to 10 and 5 to 10? That would be 15, obviously we do the math, 15 to 30 chemical peels you would have performed. Being able to use saline and having a model means that you can actually jumpstart your experience level with regards to application without waiting to have a paying client. And that's really critical, because when you do get a paying client, you want to have this down pat. And by doing it more and more and more, like in this manner, it gives you that instant gratification. You're able to get to your 60-second mark, give or take 5 to 10 seconds. You're able to understand the fan brush placement on the skin. You're able to execute perfectly to the eyebrows, to the hairline, underneath the eyes, because you've experienced it using the no saline technique. Also, using too much liquid, you're not going to be surprised if it does happen, because you've already experienced it. Let's say, for example, there's something that you didn't do, anything out of the ordinary. You can speed up or you can slow down. If you've never done it, if you've never been there, it's going to be uncharted territory, and that's definitely where you don't want to be. So by experiencing all of these things with saline on your model, the confidence and your ability to get around hiccups or negative items that might happen during an actual paying client, you're able to get through them with ease and confidence because you've already experienced it. Here's what I'd like you to do. You will set up your model as if you were doing an actual paying client. Headband, you're going to expose the hairline. What you are not going to do right now is you're not going to do eye cover. There's no reason to do Vaseline around the lips, in this area here, underneath the eyes. We're not doing any of those protective measures while we practice this. The reason why is because we're using saline, and you want to be able to look at the entire face, and you're really concentrating on the fan brush technique. So start off with using no saline. You're going to do timed events, and while you do no saline, you're going to go too fast, and then you're going to go too slow. How this works is You're going to go ahead and hit the timer, and then you're going to concentrate on these areas here. And I'm going to use the face here to tell you what to look for. You want to look for the hairline and make sure that you go into the hairline by 1 centimeter. You want to make sure that you come onto the side here, in the hairline here, just as you would up top. You want to make sure to stop in this area here. So there's an imaginary line right about the middle of the eyes when you come down here. You should be able to do that in 3 strokes. So it's 1, 2, and then 3. Now, depending how large the forehead is, you might have to go to 4. But normally 5 or 6 is not something that happens. So, and again, it doesn't matter, but the more strokes you do, the more liquid you either have to carry or the quicker you have to be. Okay, so that's why this will go over, that's why this will really help. So using no saline, I want you to go too fast, and then I want you to go too slow. Do 3 to 5 of each one and see just how well you can do. And when you go too fast, it doesn't matter whether you go too fast or too slow first. It doesn't make a difference, because you're going to learn things about each way. And when you went too fast, what didn't you cover? What didn't you do? And then if you when you go too slow, you're going to notice all of the finer points of the face that you're not noticing when you're going too fast. Okay? One quick mention, as it relates to these numbers 5 and 10, you know, if I do a 2-day class or a 1-day class, I'm concentrating on this. And what I tell the students is, before you leave today, you're going to do 20, 30, 40 chemical peels. And they always look at me with the same look, like, how's that even possible? Well, when I tell them we're using saline and we're using no saline and then using saline solution, you know, the light bulbs go off. They kind of understand really what it is. And I really want you to know, and I'm telling you, that when you perform this in this manner, you are performing a chemical peel. So at the end of the day, if you did each one of these 5 times or 10 times, that's 20, 30, 40 chemical peels you're performing. It's real. It may not seem like it, but when you get past this point and you start doing paying clients, you're going to see that it truly, in fact, was, and it truly was a confidence builder. Now, the tricky thing is when you come to too much, okay? Now, remember, with your model in front of you, whether you're left or right, you're going to have your timer and you're going to have the saline solution in the same exact, you know, however you want to do that, whatever's comfortable, and the same that you would put the acid in, okay? When you dip the fan brush in, you want to concentrate on really picking up a lot. What I see a lot of new estheticians do is they dip and they spend a lot of time, you know, like a paintbrush. And it's really not necessary. When you dip the paintbrush, it's called the wicking effect. So if you put the fan brush in, you should know or have a very clear idea how much liquid is wicked up. You know, the hairs, how much are they absorbing? You shouldn't have to do that too much. I view that as something you should not do. I never do that. I practice. It's just not something I need to do. So if you find yourself doing that, it's a concentration issue with regards to when you dip the fan brush. So try not to do that. You know, but when you dip in for too much liquid, dip it all the way in. Don't do that and go directly to the face. What you want to do with too much is you want to see where it runs on the face. You want to see where it runs here and watch where it goes, because 9 times out of 10, it's going to go the same place on all clients. When you come down the bridge of the nose, that's a perfect example of when you carry too much, could it go into the corners of the eyes? You want to definitely make sure that you carry too much and come down the bridge of the nose and watch it run. And watch it pull up into the corners of the eyes. You want to experience that so that you know what is not correct. You want to see the mistakes happen with saline and obviously not with glycolic acid, but you want to really concentrate on using way too much than you would ever use to see what happens with liquid. Okay, and if you do that, do it as many times as you want. Again, 10 times would seem like a lot, but when I'm educating, it seriously comes to the point where at the end of the day, the students are like, I'm tired. I don't need to do it again. I've done it 25 times. I got it. Now we come to the third part, which is too fast and too slow. Okay, again, we're using no saline, too fast, too slow, right? Using saline, using too much liquid, too fast, too slow. So when you go too fast, does that really need an explanation? But on too slow, you want to really make sure that you go really slow. And I mean, it should take you 1.5 to 2 minutes to cover the face. And really what you're looking for is you're looking for how the fan brush, how close you come to the eyebrow, how close you come to the hairline. And you want to really concentrate on going as slow as you can. And then when you speed it up and come back with too fast, it gives you that opposite effect and that opposite experience. Then when you add too much liquid and do too fast and too slow, then it becomes really sloppy and you get to see poor form and technique. And then when you do too much liquid too slow, you get to see how it's possible to carry all that liquid and slow down. And then if you carry way too much and you go slow, like on certain parts of the face, you get to see what happens when the fan brush releases that liquid and you're going too slow. Okay, so what we're basically doing is we're combining 1, 2, and 3, and again, 3 has part A and part B, which is too fast, too slow, but we're combining all 3 of these and becoming extremely experienced with regards to the fan brush, how it reacts, how the liquid reacts, our perception of time, our perception of what is too fast, our perception of what is way too slow, carrying too much liquid, not enough liquid. All of these parameters are what allow you to concentrate on everything else that is important. And what is that? The most important thing of applying acid to a paying client is this. Reading the peel. All of your attention from forehead to chin, from 60 seconds to 3 to 5 minutes, is reading the peel. You must be able to do all of this just like driving a car. This is how serious I am. If you've gotten in your car, left work, went home, and wondered how many lights you missed because you don't remember going through them or making a turn, that's called autopilot. I want this to be autopilot. I want you to be able to shut your timer off. I want you to be able to have someone else time you. And these are things that you can do to become better and better and better. You have someone else go start. And you go through using no saline, too much, too fast, too slow. And they're going to ask you, how long did that take you? You should be within 5 seconds. That's autopilot. And that's where you need to be. Why? Because all your attention needs to be on the client, what they are experiencing. And if all of your attention is on, did I miss a spot? Did I put enough? Okay, let's go ahead and recap. We have 6 different quadrants on the face. We're going to use a standard glycolic acid fan brush. We have a few parameters that we're going to go ahead and practice with. So we have number 1, using no saline. Number 2, too much. And 3, adding speed of too fast and too slow. We're going to go ahead and set our own time. The goal is 60 seconds. We're going to go ahead and practice perceived time. And we're going to have the individual, someone else, go ahead and ask us how much time. If you don't have the third person, that one's secondary. You'll just kind of learn that. But if you want to go ahead and just put it off to the side, you can go ahead and kind of trick yourself into practicing that. So I do it, and with all of my students. So it's important that you have that good perception of how much time has passed. Okay, and let's see what else. Okay, I wrote the 5 and the 10 here, 15 to 30, in about, under, let's say, 45 minutes, give or take. You should definitely be able to, handle 15 to 30 of these. And the important thing is, I should say, the goal is to become proficient enough at the application so that it's on autopilot, so that we can free up all of our time to talk to the client, read the PO, and not spend any amount of time dealing with the application. I found this to be extremely successful in teaching individuals who are a little bit nervous, and I have to say that at the end of a day or a 2-day training, what's really, tells me that I did right is when a student says, "I got this. I don't need to do this again." And that's always a good moment for me, because then I can start talking about the things that really matter. One quick reminder that I'd like to go over is, when you're looking at the quadrants, of your model's face, remember we're following the same dip once prior to each step. And when we're coming down the bridge of the nose, we normally don't dip. We go 1 and then 2 and then bridge of the nose, and then dip 4, dip 5, and then dip, and then finish 6. When you are doing too much liquid, too fast, too slow, you want to go ahead and add in some variables to when you dip, but know that you're always going to go back to, at least my best advice is what I just mentioned. But there are variables as you're learning, but always come back to the standard. I think that's best, and ultimately it's up to you to decide, when you dip, and you'll form a habit. The one thing that I really want to stress again is, when you learn how you're going to apply 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, make sure you are consistent. Do not change. Do not go 1, 2, or 1, 2, and then 3, dip. Don't do crazy stuff. Keep it consistent, but while you're learning, throw in some variables. But as I said, always come back to the basics of a standard approach to it. It'll keep things consistent, and where it helps you is, in autopilot, did I cover it? Well, you just trust yourself, and you know that you will. So always come back to that, and I think it'll really help you be more confident and successful. If you're a new esthetician and you're new to chemical peels, I hope that this information really helps you get to the confident level that you should be at and that you hope to achieve. And this is Marty again with Skincare Science, and we'll see you in the next video.